Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas. I'm here with Dennis Jarvis, Spyder Surfboards. I hope you guys had a chance to watch the vlog we did last week. Dennis kind of breaks down where the Fireball came from. We talk about channels. I've asked Dennis to do the review with us, so thanks for having us again.
Yay, I'm here.
So anyways, we're going to have Dennis break down the review. I'll talk about how things felt under my feet, what fins I chose. We're just going to have fun. So sit back, get your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Now, Dennis, I got to tell you, the way I saw the Fireball, I follow, we all follow certain people, whatever. Mm-hmm. And Bob Hurley posted a photo of a Fireball. I hadn't seen your board logo, Spyder, and Aaron and I used to live in the South Bay when we were like 14 years old before we went to San Diego County and then Orange County. And I thought, man, that board looks sick. I don't really know the depth of it, so I reached out to you guys. I direct messaged you guys, and you guys called me. And you said you'd love to be a part of the show, so that's we're here now.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you guys giving us an opportunity like this, to give a explanation as to why a shaper does what he does. Not many people get the opportunity, so thank you guys for that.
Sure.
To start off with. Yeah, Bob Hurley. I actually probably about the third or fourth one that I shaped. I posted on Instagram, and that's the thing I love about Instagram is like we're connected because of Instagram. And I've met so many great shapers out there, like Matt from Kazuma. Just incredible. Chris Christensen, actually, his Fireball's in there. It's such a great connection piece, and we're learning from each other, and we're giving like love back to the shaping community, which is really great. But so Bob saw the one that I did. And he ordered up a 6-fin wingle-dangle Fireball fish. And first of all, they're not a fish. The reason it came, I don't know where the Fireball fish came from, because even the one that Curran was riding had 3 fins in it. So it's not really a fish, but it was the board that started all the freak stuff that's happening now. That was the pinnacle surfboard. So we are attached to that in a loving way, and I really can appreciate that. Bob put this up, and immediately I think I got another 400 followers, because they just go, that looks insane. And I came up with this airbrush, like I said, as an ex-airbrusher, because I try to stay away from a lot of, floating paint. I figured, how do I accentuate this without taking away from the beauty and the curve of the surfboard? And so his was the first one I think I did that color job on, and I really wanted him to enjoy it. And so the Fireball airbrush was born, and it's totally to accentuate the channels, to show the chamfered chines throughout the channels, and just make you stoked.
It's good. So this is the Fireball fish.
Yeah.
So people want to order this. This is obviously custom, and you have a description on the website about it, and people can learn a little bit about that, and then they order it.
Yes, so we have a description, and you can order it on the website, or you could email me directly.
Okay.
That's how I work with anybody that's going custom is they get a hold of me directly. I talk to them on the phone, as you and I did,
right?
And then as we did on this,
right.
I design it, I do the screenshots, I work with you. You see everything that I see before I get the board cut. If I see something wrong with a surfboard, after we've discussed it, and maybe your ideals have changed and something was a little different, maybe you're not going to Fiji after all, but you still want the surfboard, then I can make the adjustments in my hand shaping part of it. And that said, this surfboard wasn't the first one I was making for you.
So you mentioned there was a board that happened before. Let's first talk about the phone call.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about, hey Dennis, I surf lowers most of the time. We're always training, always testing boards there. So if you make me a board, I would think that it needs to be more like that daily driver.
Right.
Riding waves in that 2 to 6 foot range.
Right.
And we can ride it on, 95% of the time we're riding small waves. So this kind of fits that description from what I remember our conversation being, right?
Yeah. I remember, our first conversation and seeing how well you surf. It takes a little while to get to know the surfer, right? And so as we went through the process and I designed the surfboard and I sent you this stuff and you came back and you're asking questions, and I was trying to keep it as simple as possible because this is a review anyhow.
Sure.
So I knew that you would be surfing trussels, Trussels, you need a little bit more of a relaxed rocker because it's kind of a mushier wave. So you would there's a single barrel concave running all the way through to the step, which means the rail is lower than the bottom of the board all the way through. And then where you break the rocker in it is going to dictate the entry point as you're paddling and as you're re-entering from an air or whatever. So I knew we needed some speed because it's trussels.
Right.
And I lowered the entry rocker about a half an inch in comparison to what the other ones were. And I knew, your ability, you could push through it as well. I actually didn't adjust anything in the tail. The tail is scalable with the rocker and the step as to the size of the surfboard we do. So if you're going to get a 6'8", it's going to scale up to where it would fit on this. I might adjust it if it doesn't look proper. But the Fireball Fish, because it has a single barrel concave running all the way through to the channels and the step, we do an egg 50-50 rail almost. So the apex is really low, but it's really super soft. And it's really reliefed off of here. So the water is going to be broken free, and it's going to be a very forgiving rail from this point here to the tip of the nose. However, when we get to where our flex step is, it's really, really hard. The edge is, in fact, I was sending some surfboards back in the beginning because, again, the Glassers, they love me. Yeah. No, they don't. But I was sending them back because the edge wasn't hard enough in the tail here, and there's a purpose for that. So when you have a nice tucked under edge, you think of it as a skimboard, and you want to get the water off of the bottom of your board as quickly as possible. And it's like a skimboard, as I said, because the water's going to sheath off of it. It won't wrap the rail, which you get the water off as quick as you can. That's where your speed comes from. So the quickest way between 2 points is a straight line. If I gave you more rocker, then the water, even as paddling, would have to travel a further distance before it exits off of the tail or in this direction.
Got it.
So this is actually not the first board that, after our conversation, and then I think we talked a couple more times.
Sure.
But I think there was some stuff that I caught on what you were doing, and I have the first surfboard here if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, let's look at it.
Okay. So this is actually the first fireball that I made for Noel. It's a little different. As we had our conversations, I understood that he really does surf trussels all the time, and the rocker contour is the same, but where and how I configured the fireball section on this thing is much different than what he has here. This is a little bit more like Jason Shibata's board that you're going to be talking about, where I move the outside ledge or fireball channel a little further out, because the waves that I've seen you surfing they were hollow. And so what this does, it kind of hooks in there and gives you the bite, so you stay higher in the wave and you can be up in the pocket.
Sure.
But after you said that you were surfing trussels more often, I decided that I had to build a new one, and that's why I moved this in. It's a little over 1.5 inches in off of the rail, so you won't have that little stickiness here on the mushier waves. Mm-hmm. So this board's been sitting here. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. I was going to do an Instagram post and break it in half or something. I don't know, just to be funny with it. But it's still sitting here.
Sure. Okay, so when you say you brought it out, was it 1 inch? It was more towards the rail.
Yeah, I moved it out. This was more towards the rail, but after having a discussion with you, I moved it in towards the stringer. So I pulled that in, and what it does, it gives you a cleaner planing surface for water to actually transfer off of this.
And it made it more forgiving, right? So if I'm surfing a wave that's a little flatter, a little slopier, it's going to actually transition from rail to rail without being sticky.
Whereas where this actually looks and reacts as a fin. So you see how nice and bitey this is right here. This actually is going to resist water. It's going to hook into the face of the wave, and you have the convex of the wave and the water coming up the face. You're going to hook in. It's going to drag you higher. So as I said, for Jason Shibata, knowing that he surfs pretty much
Hawaii,
great waves all the time.
Right.
His is a little closer to the rail, and each one is done in accordance to. I'm actually only doing these custom right now. I have a couple, Brave New World. I got a couple accounts, but I can't even keep up with what we're doing right now, and I'm not going to have a ghost shaper anymore.
Sure.
It's just me in there drinking a lot of coffee.
So now we got to talk about fins because it's kind of part of the show. And like we said in the vlog, fins can make or break a board.
Yep.
And we talked on the phone. You're like, hey, Noel, make sure you're riding a medium fin. And I'm like, really? It's like I ride large fins all the time. But in my mind, I thought, okay, maybe these Fireball channels are going to give me the speed I'm looking for, and it'll offset a smaller fin, or should I say a medium fin.
Right.
And I started with the John. This is an alpha fin. So it's got kind of like a medium flex pattern, super light, and it's a bit more upright. So it pivots a little bit quicker than maybe, let's say, the AM1. This has a bit more rake. And as I was riding most of the smaller waves, I was on the John fin. I really like the template, but tell me a little bit why a medium fin goes so well with this little setup here.
Well, I think we touched on it before, but again, when you take the surface area that's in the center channel, the only one that actually releases off of the tail, it adds up to about 3.5 inches, right? So you can take that as a resistance and deduct that from the resistance of your fin. And Al Byrne, I mentioned this before, had the deep sixes. The whole purpose of that was they didn't even try to figure out a hydrodynamic thing. They were just trying to get as much drive and stay as high in the pocket as they could at pipe, right?
Right.
That's kind of like the whole concept of that. But what was happening is the boards were getting very stiff because you have all this resistance of these deep channels. I mean, they're like an inch deep.
Right.
And if you're putting a regular fin in that thing, you can't turn it. It's just you take off and you go at an angle. So as guys, we're doing more and more turns at pipe, they realize that they have to take the surface area of the resistance away because they're already getting it from the channel.
Sure.
So I actually say try the smallest fins you can in any surfboards to start off with, and then go to your favorite fins. But try the smallest because you're going to get a looser surfboard out of it. You might not get the drive you're looking for, and then you move up to the next size and the next size.
What I noticed about the medium fin for me is since I'm always riding a large fin and we're getting more fin in the depth of the water, it does tighten the board up a little bit, right? But it's giving me that drive. What I really liked about the medium fin, though, is I didn't feel like I was sacrificing any speed with the Fireball channels, right? And the fins, with them being not as much in the water, I could do more reverses, a little bit more progressive type surfing. Yeah. So the board felt really loose and responsive. Yep. And I had a blast.
I love the fact that you were able to give this, a couple of different fins, and you had, and you kind of saw how the bigger fin might have given you a little bit more resistance.
Right.
But again, I think the medium-sized fins. I mean, the John mediums are probably my favorite fins right now.
Right.
So.
And I think the last thing I want to say about fins, it's so crucial to listen to a shaper, have an open mind, continue to try things that you don't try, so you can learn.
Yeah. It's all a learning process.
So let's look at some waves together. A lot of speed. This is the M1 medium fin. Love the release and able to keep going and just have good speed the whole time. Now right here I have the John medium fin. It's a little more upright, so I'm able to pivot quicker. Even though I fall right there, it just spun so quick. Here's the M1s. Look at the drive. And able to do a big carve right there. Now this wave right here, there's some texture, but watch the drive. Coming out of that turn, tons of speed. Now this roundhouse reverse, just how fast it goes from rail to rail. This last one, the bottom turn, and texture, lots of spray. Board just felt great no matter what the conditions were. Hey guys, today is day 8 of shooting on the Fireball. It's our last day. We've got pretty much all the footage we need, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the durability. This is a PU construction with a light glass job, and after 8 days of riding it, it's pretty well pounded. I would say on our scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great, no pressure dents, it's at about a 4. So this board really took a beating. Dennis wanted it to have really good flex and performance for me, and it did. The other thing too is because it doesn't have the tail hits, the carbon tail hits on both sides, I've actually busted the tail open from doing bottom turns on my toe side, and it's okay right now, but what's going to happen is eventually it'll pop on the bottom here, And then it's like cancer for the board for me, because every time I go to the bottom on my front side, it'll continue to open up even after I fix it. So talk to Dennis over at Spyder, make sure it has a good glass job. But this board's sick, you guys will love it. Well, Dennis, I gotta tell you, daily driver, 2 to 6 foot surf, it's a favorite. This board belongs in a quiver, and I hope our community gets it. Look, if you want to order one custom, domestic, internationally, I talked to Dennis, they're shipping. So that's a must for us in our community. We know that people follow us from all over, and we're stoked that you had us on the show, and what a fun board.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys letting us be a part of this again. It's really, Noel, and you're a ripper. This guy's a ripper.
Come on. Sick. Hey, guys, if you like the show, subscribe. You can also find us at surfandshow.com and on Instagram at surfandshow. That's it. Until next time, see you in the water. Bye-bye.
And oh, how you've come far.